What up, Poop Shoot? Hope you're having a sick Saturday so far. Sick. Next, obviously, Bill 69 entry. This was from April 7th of 2015. The 3 games we played were all really good games. Maybe not some of my all-time favorites, but, knocking on that door pretty closely. First one was one of the very first games I got from my Sega Genesis when I got that in the beginning of high school, and it's called Mickey Mouse and the Castle of Illusion. The Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, whatever. I can't remember how it was exactly on the game. I just showed a picture of it, so you'll see the exact wording. But basically, yes, it was released in 1990 for Sega, by Sega, and it starred everybody's favorite cartoon mouse, unless you like Tom and Jerry better. And the story behind it is that Minnie Mouse is kidnapped right out from under Mickey Mouse's nose by an evil witch named Ms. Rebelle, I believe her name was. And in order to get Minnie back, you must embark on this journey and fight through 5 levels of illusions that Ms. Rebelle throws your way that you have to fight through before confronting her and gaining your little mouse back. So the levels in this game, there's like some dark woods, like a toyland, these craggy cliff faces in the middle of a thunderstorm, and then there's you're inside of a house where everything's oversized, and then the last level is a castle where you confront Ms. Rebelle. And along the way, you don't really have any weapons per se. Mickey can jump. He can jump on top of people to kill them, mostly it's creatures in this game. There's not really any other people. It's all like bugs, animals, plant matter, some toys that come to life in the toy level, that sort of thing. And but the odd time Mickey can grab like apples, and there's apples throughout the levels that you can pick up and hoard and then throw at people. So that's another way of destroying your enemies that you can use from time to time. And and you must also collect I guess through these gems in each level. There's one gem or some sort of stone in each level, and you need them all in order to, upon completing the castle level, these stones combine to reveal a bridge that gets you to Ms. Rebelle's location, and then you finally face her down at the end and defeat her and get Minnie Mouse back. So this game was awesome. It was kind of a surprise. Like, I think I got it just because either my parents bought it for me, or I just got it because I wanted to get something and there wasn't really much available. And it ended up being like a really fun, awesome kind of game. It was they did a very good job at setting the mood on it, like very sinister and dark. You get Mickey Mouse, the little happy mouse guy, but then you put him in this scenario where he's got to fight this evil witch, and it's dark, evil, sinister, and he's got to fight his way through this really moody type of game in order to get Minnie back. And it's really quite a masterpiece. Visually, sound is great, the controls are great. The only knock on it, I would say, is that if they had made it 2-player, it would have made this game like lights out sort of thing. So they could have added on, hey, Donald Duck could have come along for the journey, who knows, right? But yeah, it was kind of a hidden gem that I didn't really realize at the time how good it was. I always played it a lot and I liked it a lot, but looking back on it all these years later, it was like this was just a game that kind of came out of nowhere and ended up being pretty awesome. And I've actually heard that they're going to do a remake of it, but and they may have. Maybe I haven't seen it come out, but that's been rumored for the last little while that there is a new Castle of Illusion game coming. So if there is, just like I redid the DuckTales a couple years ago, whenever that was greatly looked forward to by us because we love those DuckTale games. I would very much be on board for a reboot of Castle of Illusion. So excellent game. Again, not on my. I do have a lot of very favorite games, as you know, because there are a ton of video games that have been released over the years. But I do tend to keep my top list pretty, not exclusive, but I don't just let every game in, because most of the games I've played I love. There's very few that I would ever say, oh god, I do not ever want to play that again. Most of them I do like to varying degrees, but I try to be at least a little selective in claiming my very favorite games of all time. So Mickey is like boom, 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 knocking, but not quite there. The second game of this list is also another Sega game for Sega Genesis and was released in 1991. It is a sequel to one of my all-time favorite games. In this game is Golden Axe 2. Golden Axe 2 I wouldn't put on my all-time favorite games list because when I put the original Golden Axe on that list, it's almost like the whole series is on it, you know? So the original, the first Golden Axe game is obviously my favorite. The first ones usually are, but I like Golden Axe 2 just as much as the original. So it's not an exact remake of the first game, but it's basically the same formula. In the first game, you destroyed Death Adder, but and freed the land of his tyranny. But in this second game, there's a new enemy on the scene. His name is Dark Gold, and he has in his possession the fabled Golden Axe, and you are going after him to defeat him and free the people. So you have the same three characters to choose from: Axe Battler, Gilius Thunderhead, and Tyrus Flare. During the game, you collect the same things: meat to increase your health bar, potion bottles to increase your magic potency, and yeah, I think there's 7 levels, so everything's different in terms of like the levels are different. The enemies are a little bit different. Many of the enemies you face in the first game are still in the second game, but there's some new guys. Like there's these big Minotaur looking guys that are huge and they're just cool. They're super fun to fight. So yeah, there's new enemies. The level design is all different. The only kind of similarities is just the basic premise of the game and the characters that you're using to unleash your fury. So yeah, it was just Golden Axe 2. Like I said, the original is the best, but Golden Axe 2 is almost as good, right? Like you would not go, oh, it's just an exact remake. Well, some people would, but those are the people that are so weird and just need to have a problem with something because they want to have a problem with it. But, you know, in my humble opinion, I like it when things don't change. Like I like it when bands who drop on the world all of a sudden and they sound great, their music is fantastic, full of energy, you want to listen to it all the time, and then they end up trying to change their sound down the road and you're like, well, why the hell would you do that? Now you sound like shit when you had this masterful recipe going on at the start, right? And same thing with video games. Like, I love the first Golden Axe game. Don't make it totally different, because chances are it's going to suck, right? So just keep going with that same formula and run with as many games as you want. I will play them all, right? And it's okay, like you make small changes, like I said, new different types of enemies and new level design, even some, if you want to pick up some weapons or throw in stuff like that, but don't totally go a different direction, because then things just get ruined. So I'm a big believer in things not totally not changing, but changing only in little bits. If you have something really great, don't fuck it up. That's what I'm trying to say. So Golden Axe 2 would be on my favorite games of all time list, only because it is part of that whole series. I consider the series as a whole a favorite game, just like the Mega Man. Although Mega Man 2 is my favorite Mega Man game, the whole series, like all those games, would be on my list, because they're Mega Man games. They're awesome. So yeah, so I guess Golden Axe 2 is on my best games of all time list, but also kind of not, because if I had to pick one of them, I would pick the original. So take that for whatever it's worth. Last game, and this one is one of the most iconic games of all time, if not but the original Super Mario Brothers. This was like the original game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1985. And if you don't know the story of the Mario Brothers, then you need to pull your head out of your ass. It focuses on two Italian-American, I don't know how you say it, plumbers that get transported into this magical mushroom kingdom that is full of all sorts of strange lands and creatures and whatnot. And the brothers are Mario and Luigi. It's not a 2-player game, as you probably know. You can play 2-player, where you take turns playing. So the first player controls Mario, does his level. Second player takes Luigi, does his level. And the story behind it is that Princess Peach of the Mushroom Kingdom has been kidnapped by the evil King Koopa, who is this like bizarre turtle dinosaur fire breathing weird thing. And so as you embark in this strange new land, you say, okay, well, sure, we'll save the princess. Like, what else are we going to do? We just got here. We don't know how to get home. May as well do something useful, right? So you embark on 8 worlds of play. Each world has 4 levels. And the first 3 levels of each world are very similar to each other. There's usually, you're in a land that has the same theme throughout, and it's like most of them are on land and they're green hills and whatever. Some of them are underground. Some of them are more like up in the air, so there's a greater chance of you just plummeting to your doom. But the 4th level of each world is always inside of a castle, and then at the end of the castle level, you confront King Koopa, and continue on to the next level after he tricks you, and the princess is not there. So if you make it to the last world, the 8th world, and to the last level, confront King Koopa, save Princess Peach, and you have saved the day. There are some tricks to this game. If you don't want to battle through the whole thing, there is some secret areas where you can get some green warp pipes and skip a whole bunch of worlds and go closer to the end. And as you go through the game, you must face all sorts of weird, not bosses, but weird enemies like Goombas, Koopa Troopas, the Hammer Brothers, Bullet Bills, little beetle things. The standard Mario bosses. If you don't know these things that I'm talking about, again, you have to pull your head out of your ass. So this game is this game and then this series as it moved on, like pretty much shaped the face of gaming for so many years, and it still does. I mean, there's still Mario games coming out, and they're still super popular, and they never go down in price. This is like, Mario is Nintendo's flagship character, and for good reason. Like, this guy has probably made them so much money and brought so much happiness to households like ours, and I can't wait to see, how they keep fleshing the Mario series out, because it is so much fun. Now, in terms of my favorite games of all time, this one wouldn't be on it per se, because as much as I love the Mario Brothers series, what came after the first Mario Brothers, they just kept raising the bar every time, and it was just like, oh my god, like, this was a great game when it came out and I first played it, but then with all the subsequent releases, like, they just kept getting better and better. So if I had to pick like a favorite game in the Super Mario Brothers series, it wouldn't be the original. I love the original, but it wouldn't be the original. And I won't tell you which one it is, because that will probably come up in a future post at some point. But there is a definite favorite, that's for sure. But this game, such an old game, 1985, an original game, but it is such an iconic release, and like I said, shaped gaming for so many years, and is still doing it. So that was the April 7th, 2015 edition of me and Simon's Bill 69 Adventures, and 3 really solid games that we played Mario Brothers, of course, as kids, and Castle of Illusion a lot as kids, but I don't think we ever played Golden Axe 2 up until, like, when I downloaded it on the Wii years ago, when we wanted to do this little trek that we're on, because I think Simon and Josh only ever had the first Golden Axe. I don't think nobody ever had any of the sequels, so I'm not even sure we were aware that there were sequels, but yeah, getting it all these years later and finding out that there's more Golden Axe games, it was just like Christmas in July, right? So those 3 games are all very solid entries, very much fun to play. We had a ton of fun getting them added to the list, and in a couple days or so, you will find out what the next 3 were that came after these. So until then, stay safe.